Okay, let's talk about demons in Sousou no Frieren. First of all, whoa, I did not expect to get so many views on my last video. Thank you all for your views, likes, comments, and subscriptions. I'm really glad you managed to deal with my raspy voice.
A bit of sugar fills us with the energy we need to adventure on.
The English dub. And some of the less clear arguments, all of which I hope to improve in my upcoming videos. While the rapid increase in viewership was gradually filling my head with existential dread and anxiety, it was also great to see such an active comment section that was polite and had plenty of great observations, valuable criticism, and more praise than I expected. However, the most prominent topic that seemed to have triggered the biggest discussion was my views on demons in Sousou no Frieren. In particular, this one clip here. And while the show gives us good reason to hate demons too, you can't help but feel sorry for them. While I was mostly referring to the brutal depictions of demon slaying by Frieren, you guys made me look into the actual ethics of slaying these demons. Turns out this one topic has actually split the fanbase somewhat. If I had known that, I would have rephrased my statement a little bit. But this just gives me an opportunity to go further in depth about demons and talk more about one of the darkest flashbacks in the show so far. A win-win in my opinion. So let's jump right in. As I mentioned in my last video, it takes us all the way to episode 7 to introduce a real threat to Frieren and her party, in the form of humanoid demons. Now, demons have previously been shown in the series as giant, monstrous beings with very few human features. They looked otherworldly, destructive, and a lot closer to what we as viewers consider to be demons. Early in episode 7, the merchant mentions Frieren's party defeating a demon, and the viewers can see a pretty monstrous depiction of one. He's giant, intimidating, has snakes for tails, probably something closer to what you would find in a fantasy RPG game. Even the dramatic action shot depicts a classic party of heroes facing off against a wild, evil beast. But the demons we see in town are distinctly different. They share a very similar appearance to humans, except for the demon horns on their head. They are well dressed, polite, civil, and able to communicate easily with other humans. They appear to be far more well adjusted and palatable than the monstrous creatures we encountered in the show thus far. Instantly, Frieren makes her views on demons pretty overt, but it seems that humans like Graf Granat, the villagers, and even Stark believe that they are able to communicate with demons and find a non-violent means to stop the war between the two races. It's not a bad idea if it was possible, but Frieren thinks that it's a pointless endeavor, and she has her reasons to think that. But before I go further into the episode analysis, I want to get back to the comments I received on my last video regarding this subject. The general premise of these comments was, "Tren, you fool, you were tricked by the demons. You shouldn't feel sorry for these creatures. They're wild beasts, and they don't have any empathy. They don't deserve your pity." Yeah, that's what Frieren tells us about demons. But I doubt she'd have a completely unbiased view, considering that her family and friends were killed by demons, and she was groomed by Flamet to be a demon slayer. But let me ask you this, do you as the viewer feel the same way when watching how brutally Frieren executes them? Sure, you probably don't feel much for Qual because of his monstrous appearance, but do you feel the same way when you're seeing Aura's death? How much do you need to tell yourself that Aura is just trying to deceive someone when she's looking at the blade that's about to slice her head off? Her tear-filled eyes, her shivering body, trembling voice, all part of the act, huh? Who is she even trying to deceive anyway? Frieren? She's not even looking at this point. From my basic understanding and research on the matter, demons are intelligent creatures who can feel some emotions, even if they lack the understanding of empathy or relationships. We have seen them express a range of fairly complicated emotional states like happiness, pride, sadness, anger, and fear. They clearly have analytical and emotional intelligence. That's why this flashback scene kind of bugged me.
バザルトの最後の言葉は覚えてるか？
覚えてない。あいつらは言葉で人間をたぶらかすんだよ。
そうだ。
I'm going to assume it's a translation error, or Frieren meant something else when she said that demons use words only to deceive humans. Because we have plenty of examples where demons are using words to communicate to each other, they are capable of speaking to humans honestly too, as shown during their fights.
そうか。まさかそんなことが。フリーレンも同じなんだな。卑怯者め。お前たちは魔法使いの風上にも置けない。
We even hear their internal monologue, meaning that they are sentient creatures that are not just driven by instinct. Now hold up, wait a minute. I'm not saying we should spare the demons or even trust them. I understand the necessity of fighting them and eliminating them, but I don't understand why people got so ruffled when I said I felt bad when I saw a demon girl forced to slice her head off. I, for one, am not a fan of dehumanization or moral disengagement. In some cases, I don't really care if the brutality is justified. I'm still not going to feel good about it. What interpretation is that Soso no Frieren wants you to feel somewhat empathetic towards the demons? The show is trying to place the viewer in the same position as the humans in that world. I think that's pretty clear when you see the flashback of Himmel encountering a demon child. This flashback is definitely in my top 5 most meaningful flashbacks from Himmel and Frieren, because this is the first time we actually see them at odds with one another. It doesn't feel that way because the two of them aren't actually arguing, but damn, the visual storytelling says it all. Upon first viewing, most viewers will probably focus on the tragedy that occurred when the village chief tried to adopt the demon girl instead of executing her for killing and eating a child. It backfired and the chief lost his life, proving to everyone there that demons are beyond redemption. It's a sad, cautionary tale, but there's a lot more going on than that. Remember that flashback where Himmel and his party are fighting against the giant demons at the start of the episode? Remember how cool and heroic that action shot was? Well, this scene is a perfect juxtaposition to that. Himmel and Frieren are now standing before a kneeling, helpless, and weak demon girl with a vengeful, angry mob behind them. Not exactly heroic. And Himmel, a man who embodied the ideals of an archetypal romantic hero, can sense exactly that. The shot composition also informs the audience that Frieren and Himmel don't see eye to eye in this situation. That's why they're kept in separate shots with plenty of distance between them, even if the wide shot establishes they're pretty close in the physical space. To Frieren, it's just another demon to kill, but to Himmel, this goes against everything he embodies as a hero. You can see this in his expression and voice. I'm sure Frieren told Himmel the same speech about demons prior to this, but it doesn't really matter. Himmel can't bring himself to see past the optics. There's nothing heroic about this. It's not a flashy battle between the valiant heroes and the powerful villain. In his mind, he's not a hero. He's an executioner. Frieren notices Himmel's hesitation and goes to end this herself. Luckily for Himmel, the village chief comes in and offers an alternative to this execution. Man, I love a good wide shot composition. Just look at the shot and how well it tells the story. It pretty much has all the information you need to know without needing the full context. As a viewer, you're put in a pretty tough ethical dilemma. You can see the grieving husband and wife on one side and the demon girl on the other side, both at the same height as well. One side is kept in the warm colors as the couple is surrounded by the villagers who are there to support them, while the demon is alone in the dark, indicating isolation and despair. Himmel and Frieren are in the middle, indicating a neutrality in this situation, which complements Himmel's conflicted state. We also see the village chief slowly moving towards the demon, which has a calm and non-threatening nature. He's leaving the villager's side and choosing to help the demon girl instead. His reasoning is very human, and one you probably heard from many shows too. It's a human sentiment, and while the audience were told that demons are preying on this, I think we need to understand why this sentiment exists in the first place. Think how many children were left in the same position as this demon girl is now, alone and left to fend for themselves. We certainly know Frieren, Stark, and even Frieren herself were left alone until someone decided to give them a helping hand and guide them down a heroic path. We don't know Himmel's past yet, but something tells me he probably was in a similar position too. It's a noble idea that everyone wants to work, which is why Himmel promptly shuts Frieren's skepticism down. It's pretty obvious to Frieren and the audience that no one will listen to her, forcing her to simply agree and go along with it. And it seems to be working out. The chief takes the demon girl home, feeds her, spends time with her. Even his daughter is trying to form a bond with this demon. And the demon girl seems to be engaging with the lifestyle despite her expressionless face. Speaking of expressionless faces, I can't quite get a read on Frieren's reaction here though. She's certainly not stoked about this, but she doesn't look angry or suspicious. She kinda appears bored. Oh, look at Himmel smiling, happy to see peace between humans and demons. This could be the first step towards peace and prosperity between the two. Yeah, any hope of that goes up in flames as the demon girl kills the chief and offers his daughter to the grieving mother of the child she ate. It's a heinous act that not even Himmel can justify. Now, I don't know about you, but I think the show makes it pretty clear when a demon is deceiving humans or when they're acting genuinely. For example, in a scene where Lord Lugner is threatened by Graf Granat, we see him scan the room and find the best way to trick the man.
私もあなた方に殺された父上の部屋はそのままにしてあります。もうやめにしませんか、グラナト卿。
リュグナー様、父上って何？
なんだろうね。
That being said, the more subtle moments are left to the viewer's interpretation. So when the demon girl is explaining why she killed the chief, I don't think she's saying it to deceive people. I think she genuinely believes that's how she can stop the mother from being a threat to her. Yes, she doesn't have any care for humans, nor understanding of human concepts like friendship or family, but she cares about self-preservation. The camera movement of the shot emphasizes her confusion. She's not pretending to be confused. She actually doesn't understand what she did wrong and is scrambling to find a way to get out of trouble. In an act of desperation, she tries to take the daughter as a hostage. However, this time, Himmel has no hesitation. He instantly saves the chief's daughter from the demon. Now, I say no hesitation, but why didn't he go for the head? While he doesn't seem conflicted about attacking the demon child, he still leaves the slaughtering to Frieren. You gotta imagine what's running through his mind right now. Knowing he has blood on his hands, the regret of not acting the first time, and even turning his back on Frieren when she tried to warn him. Himmel knows he made a mistake, and no amount of good intentions could justify that. It was a moment of weakness, and it cost more lives and sorrow than it needed. This is also where I think the audience can infer that the demon is trying to trick people again. Notice how the demon drops to her knees a few seconds after her hand was sliced off. She doesn't appear to drop to her knees due to her injury. She does so consciously to appear weak and defenseless, even going as far as trying to garner sympathy by saying mother again. Frieren inquires why the demon is using that word, considering demons are solitary creatures that don't understand the concept of a mother. Even Lord Lugner points out that words are just weapons for a demon to use to achieve their goals. But even if the words are fake, their desire to live is as real as any other species. Which is why I still don't quite understand why is it so wrong to feel bad for them to some extent. Xenomorphs are also heartless creatures who only seek to destroy other species and preserve their life. I still feel somewhat bad if I saw a Space Marine curb stopping a baby xenomorph. But maybe that's just Softy Tran speaking, I don't know. Again, if I was in that world, I'd probably have to employ some dehumanization to ensure my own survival. For Frieren to be this brutal and unfeeling is obvious. With more than 1,000 years of battle experience, she will never see demons as anything more than a virus. She cannot be negotiated or reasoned with. She is to demons exactly what demons are to her. Which is why the village chief brings up that question. I'm going to ask a controversial question. How exactly is Frieren different from demons? She's also a solitary creature. She's pretty indifferent about relationships and family life. She's able to use demon spells and is shown to have no problems with killing or deception. If the only difference between her and demons is the targets that they choose to attack, I don't think she has any moral high ground to stand on. I guess that's why Himmel is nicknamed Himmel the Hero, and Frieren is Frieren the Slayer. Again, not trying to be demon sympathist trend, I just have a tendency to look at both sides of the conflict. It's obvious that the conflict between the two sides is not an ideological one, but an existential one. These two sides cannot coexist in harmony, so the one that can eradicate the other will be the winner. For demons and Frieren, that concept is understood. For humans, it's a bit tricky, especially since their society has a Christian-like religion that promotes kindness, mercy, atonement, and redemption. Himmel too follows a clear code of honor to preserve his image as a hero, which caused him to pay the price for it. Which leads me to the topic of self-preservation, which is a theme that's pretty prominent in the series, but especially focused on in episode 7. The episode starts with a flashback of the party talking about Flamme, Frieren's mentor and the founder of humanity's magic.
しかし、こうも偽物しかないと本物が実在するかどうかわからなくなりますね。人類の魔法の開祖フランメ自体がおとぎ話のようなものだ。
Eisen points out that due to the lack of genuine articles or evidence of her existence, Flamme is like a fairy tale. Frieren acknowledges this and brings up a point that she may be the only person who remembers Flamme's face. Words that seem to have resonated with Himmel. An obvious setup for what happens later. Back at the present day, Frieren and her current party members are helping a merchant to reach town. During this scene, Farron points out that elves are going extinct because of their lack of romantic feelings and reproductive instincts.
私たちエルフは長くは生きるけど、恋愛感情や生殖本能みたいなものが軒並み欠落しているからね。
Seems like elves also lack certain human emotions. It's a bit strange since we saw Farron live in an elf village, so presumably there were some elf families there. I guess those feelings are more dormant than non-existent. The merchant also informs that the town is celebrating Liberation Day to remember Himmel and his party freeing the land from demons. He also points out that remembering these events is important, as 80 years is enough time for this event to pass from human memory. These are all setups that complement the theme of self-preservation. Prompted by Farron's words, Himmel begins to commission statues of himself everywhere they go. He wants to preserve himself in the memories of others, as a hero that existed and be more than just a fairy tale. He does give a second reason to Farron, but I want to explore the first one more. Himmel is a man who wants to be a real hero. He clearly has an ideal image of a hero and tries to maintain it through his own actions and behavior, which is why it takes him so long to choose what kind of statue he wants. Farron is not bothered by that though. She doesn't care about preserving herself in the memories of others, because she's probably going to outlive them anyway. This concept also plays well with what we found out about elves. While I'm sure elves want to live long lives, they're not motivated by that kind of self-preservation. Too bad she didn't take time with her statue. People would have recognized her and treated her with a bit more respect. For demons, on the other hand, self-preservation is their number one priority, but since they are solitary creatures with no empathy towards others, the only way to preserve themselves is to simply not die. Even the way they die is thematic to their race. When they are killed, they simply fizzle out of existence, and it makes sense. These creatures don't have funerals or sentimental notions of an afterlife. They would have no one to mourn them. Even their kin don't really care about each other, besides how they can work together to ensure their survival.
ドラートの魔力が探知できない。
死んだな。
バカだね。油断しすぎだ。
Because they lack empathy, they don't comprehend other means of survival besides killing the threat. After all, they have no concept of trust either, so they would never trust humans not to kill them, so peace is impossible. It also makes sense why demons show off their mana all the time. Demons can easily determine who is in charge and avoid conflict amongst their own kind. Since they are all driven by the same goal, the weaker demons will obey the stronger one. They don't have loyalty or camaraderie to each other, but they do have a unified goal. I made this comparison before, but demons are like xenomorphs. Even xenomorphs knew how to deceive other species. You couldn't reason with xenomorphs, and the only way to ensure your survival was to eradicate them, which is a lot easier to do when they look like this. Nevertheless, both Xenos and demons are intelligent creatures, and killing them is more of a necessity than a virtuous act, which is why Himmel is both conflicted the first time and rather detached the second time he faced the demon girl. I mean, he clearly jumped in to save the daughter, which is heroic, but the slaying was left to Farron. Understandably, he wants to be Himmel the hero, not Himmel the exterminator. I think writing this script helped me better understand demons and the role they play in So So No Frieren. The enemies that Farron and her party faces are not just cannon fodder for some cool fights. They also present an internal conflict, at least the side characters like Farron, Stark, and even Himmel. Farron doesn't seem to have a problem with these foes. She takes them down pretty promptly without much introspection. But what she lacks in internal struggles, she makes up for in character development. Qual signified Farron's growth throughout the years. The Einsam signified the change in the most important person in Farron's life, while Aura and her minions let us see Farron from the perspective of the demons and goes further in depth why she has a justifiable hatred towards them. I think episodes 7 through 10 really showcase Farron's brutality. Typically she just Zoltrax her enemies, but this time we saw her kill an enemy with her bare hands and told Aura to Minecraft herself. Oh, and what's with the grin before the battle too? It's the first time I see Farron smile so much. Typically, Farron's expressions are subtle and hard to read. I'm not even sure why she's smiling. Is she excited to kill more demons? To fight Aura again? Does killing demons bring her joy? I'm not sure. Overall, how you feel about demons is all down to personal preference and understanding of these creatures. I personally think it's a pretty natural reaction to feel bad for a creature that is begging for mercy or being tormented. After all, that's what empathy is, and that's what differentiates us from the demons. I don't think I'll ever be on the don't feel bad for demons, they're just parasites side. I understand killing them out of necessity, but I don't think one should derive joy from it. As I said, Farron has her own reasons to dislike demons. Luckily, the demons themselves agree with her definition, so I guess she's not just being prejudiced. So I guess that's fine. Of course, they could always be lying. To finalize my point, I was never pro-demons or anti-Farron. The conflict between the two is an existential one, And since we're following the human side of the story, it's pretty obvious which side we should root for. And while Frieren got her morality from Flamme, I got mine from Gandalf the Grey.
Many that live deserve death, and some that die deserve life. Can you give it to them? Do not be too eager to deal out death and judgment. Even the very wise can assume ends.
I hope this video has given you something to think about regarding demons in Soso no Frieren. Please feel free to share your opinions. If you have no pity for demons, beat the shit out of that demon like button. And if you feel some pity towards them, Zoltrak that like button. If you enjoy my ramblings and want to see other content, consider subscribing to my channel. Make sure to check out my other videos too. My favorite one is the Isekai Roulette, but there's a lot of other great ones. That's all for now. Thanks for watching.